Welcome to the Yo Brother podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
Sporting the Bruins. I
was going to say, welcome to the Yo Brother podcast playoff edition.
That's right.
Because we are in the playoffs and the Bruins are one win away from moving on to round two if they can beat the Washington Capitals tomorrow. It is May 22nd, 2021, and we are coming to you today in celebration of our 1 year anniversary of the Yo Brother podcast. So we published our first episode May 29th, 2020, very early into the pandemic. And here we are a year later, and it really is sort of hard to believe. It does seem like it went by fairly fast.
Like a blink.
Yeah, and you know, we just put out our solo Why You Should Love Solo, a Star Wars story episode, but by the time you hear this, we will be probably on the eve of celebrating the actual 1 year anniversary of the podcast. So before we sort of get into, you know, the content of the episode, I just want to say, as I know you'd want to say, a big thanks to all of those who've listened and who continue to listen, who've supported us in any way, and also all the guests that we've had on the podcast over the last year. It's been a pretty great ride with some of the folks who were kind enough to give us their time and really make it that much more exciting and enjoyable for us. And there's some standouts there, but we've enjoyed every single one of those moments. And it really got kicked off with Jamie B. Chambers. That was a long, in-depth interview with a guy that we didn't know a whole lot about before we came to interact with him on social media. And man, was he generous with his time. And
that was the one where the
big snafu.
We had a snafu, and we talked to him for 2 hours.
Right.
And he was cool with it.
He was great. He was great. Yeah, he was great. And it really was an inspiring conversation that we had. And I do want to have him back on. Hopefully he'll join us, if not by the end of this year, certainly early in 2021, because a lot of the projects that he was getting involved in, of course, had also been paused, but now they're starting to kick off again. He's got a film called The Morris Men, which is sort of getting back underway. And so we'd love to talk about those things with him. Then, of course, we had the pleasure of interviewing the Nelms brothers, directors of what is now becoming one of our favorite films, Fat Man.
Yeah.
And all of the films they've put out, Small Town Crime, which is now on Netflix.
Yes.
If you have not seen the Nelms Brothers Small Town Crime, it is out on Netflix right now. You have to see this film. It's incredible.
And I'll pitch the Blu-ray because there's some great extras on here. There's a commentary, deleted scenes. So if you really like the movie, which you are going to like the movie if you see it on Netflix, pick it up. It's really great price at Amazon or wherever you go. So
and that was another
pickup.
And that was another interview, right? Because once we got into what we call the Nelms universe, right, then we interviewed Johnny Durango, cinematographer, director of photography, who has done great work on their films. Is also, of course, involved in Everyone is Doing Great, the series on Hulu. That they're involved in, which we're hoping to see a season 2 on that. And then we interviewed Deborah Baker Jr. That was a lot of fun, and Carissa Lee. Carissa Lee. That was a lot of fun again, and everyone is doing great. Alum
and Carissa Lee and Johnny did the intro for us. Like Johnny probably introed this one, right?
Yeah, when you hear the pre-roll, the pre-roll
before you hear us, you hear Johnny Durango, and I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, very cool. And then of course. Kevin, you know, when we interviewed the director of Willy's Wonderland, that was a lot of fun. That was a real sort of like pretty wild interview, but we had a lot of fun with that, and came to discover that he was a pretty big physical media fan like you, and video games.
That's right.
Speaking of which, Mike you'll need to put this on your Instagram feed, not your story, so people can go and see it. It won't disappear. As Mike has, and I should have, and I will have eventually.
Right.
Mike has the most incredible digital pinball, Star Wars pinball machine. And right now again, by the time you hear this, I'm going to make him put that out on his Instagram feed, but that is sweet. And you had it set to what, like the Han Solo
Yeah, there's
table.
10 tables, and one of them's a Han Solo table. So I sent that out for the episode
Right.
on Solo.
That we did. Right. Exactly. So today, as we said, coming up in this episode is about coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the Yo Brother podcast. And that first episode that we put out was called Top 5 Films, right? So you talked about your top 5. I talked about my top 5. We've both gone back and listened to that podcast again. I've actually listened to it more than once. And before we got on air, you were saying how painful it was to listen to, which it was in many ways. I mean, just the whole production value at that point was so lame.
Very slow.
It was,
I thought I had it on like half speed.
And it was very
listening.
Very robotic, like the intro. Welcome to the Oh Brother podcast. Like, it just is hard to listen to.
And I was over articulating my words because I could tell I was conscious of the accent.
Right.
So I would say, car, and I would overdo the R to make sure it got in there.
It was interesting to go back, and it's amazing to think that was a year ago. And what we thought we would do, I sort of pitched to you, I said, why don't we go back now that it's been a year and sort of revisit our top 5 film list. And see, has anything changed, and just kind of have a discussion about that. And then also just kind of a look back on the year, any moments that stand out to you that you might want to introduce into the episode. And, we've commented on some already. Just the interviews that we had was such a pleasure to do. And we've got more lined up that'll be coming probably before the end of the year, and then certainly moving into next year. But is there anything there that you want to, anything that's popping out to you as you think back over the year? Or do you want to get into this top 5 discussion?
Well, before we go there, to me, I almost, we've been shortening the episodes, like consciously we started at like an hour and a half, and we keep clipping it. And I think the tighter it gets, the better it gets. But I think one of the things that it's the stuff people don't hear. Like, we've been in tears a couple of times laughing.
Right.
Just before we start.
Yeah.
Because you'll be yelling at me about a squeaky chair or something. And I'll be like, come on, a squeaky chair, and we'll get on each other. And then all of a sudden, 3, 2, 1.
Right. There's a show before the show.
There is.
Yeah.
And then sometimes afterwards we'll start talking. And
see, there's that Boston accent we've been waiting
out right
for.
There, and I
heard that
it.
Afterwards.
I heard it too. Yeah.
Well, I had one in Solo. I said character. The character. And I'm full Boston today. So
right.
it's I got an excuse.
Fits. Right.
Yeah, that's funny. But you're right. And some of those made it in. I mean, one of my favorite episodes to date is the Brother versus Brother Trivia 3, round 3, not because you whipped my ass in it with just, I'm sorry, but I'm still very impressed by that final answer of Baltimore for Silence of the Lambs. That was just fantastic.
Do you know how I got that?
No. You cheated. You cheated.
No, I didn't cheat.
Oh, okay.
I remembered when they bring him in the, they have to fly him in the plane.
Yeah.
To get the mayor's signature. They flew into Maryland, and that's where I came with. And I was like, and Maryland, and of the Baltimore.
And of the two of us, one of us lived there for 12 years.
And it wasn't me.
But it wasn't my question. And thank God, because if it was my question, I still wouldn't have known the answer. So that would have been embarrassing. But I mean, that, the trivia one was just because it was so, man, we've never been so stressed out. And I literally went to the doctor shortly thereafter because, again, an after show moment nobody saw. I was on Zoom with my girlfriend after that episode. And at one point she said, hey, did you get hit in the face? Cause she I do a little boxing for exercise. And she said,
yeah, right. Your eye. Yeah.
And and I didn't realize, cause if you look at the episode, you don't see anything.
Yeah.
But after the episode, I guess my eyes started turning yellow and like black and blue. So I was like kind of freaking out a little bit, but it was basically stress induced. And we have AT&T and Sprint to thank
That
for
has
that evening.
continued, that stress
Is
for
it
me.
wonderful? Yeah, but you look
Wow.
wonderful. You look fantastic despite it all. So
Yeah.
that was good because a lot of that made it into that episode. And
Right.
it was knowing how beside ourselves we were. And
And
you were actually ready. If you remember, you were like, we just bag it. We'll do it.
right.
And I was the one who
It was
was like,
real
let's just,
close.
because I knew it would be some comedy gold because we were just so
Yeah.
frustrated, and I'm glad that we did it.
I was holding the telephone. So we were talking through my telephone because yours was shut off. And I am screaming full force at this woman.
Yeah, mine was inoperable.
And she's like, she kept saying something like, is there anything else I'm happy to help you with? I said, no, you're not. You're not happy to help me. You're not helping me with anything. And I was just going and going.
It's like Seinfeld with the rent-a-car reservation. No, I
That's
don't think
right.
you do know what it means to hold the reservation.
Yeah.
Because if you did, there'd be a car here.
That's right. You know how to take it.
Right.
But you don't know how to hold
it. Yeah. So let's get into the meat of it here. We look back. So our top 5 films, I'm going to run through the list real quick of just the titles for both of us. Okay. So my list kicked off with The Empire Strikes Back, episode 5 of the Skywalker saga. And then I went into Godfather Part 2. Then Mel Gibson's Braveheart, Groundhog Day, great film by Harold Ramis, and then Good Will Hunting, a wonderful Gus Van Sant film. So that was my top 5 list. Yours kicked off with a great film, Steve Martin, Roxanne, fantastic film. And then a Kubrick obscurity, The Killing, you threw in there. Double Indemnity was no surprise to be on your list.
Right.
And then you went for Godfather, the original Godfather Part 1, because you talked about how you love the arc of Michael's character, which, as I listened back to it, that was a great point. And I could have easily
I tried to cheat. I wanted to go with the Godfather epic, which still to this day has only been released on VHS.
Yeah.
And even if you watch all the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, there's more in the epic. There's like, it ends with Kay lighting candles, and that's nowhere. You see that if every once in a while you'll see it on TV.
Right.
But if I didn't want to cheat, so I went with
Godfather you had to pick, so you went with the original, and then of course you ended with no surprise Citizen Kane, which arguably the greatest film ever made.
And here's the greatest box of it ever released so far.
A horrible pointing job you did there.
I know, I was all over
for those watching on YouTube, which, by the way, if you are not following us, I forgot to say at the top, make sure that you do. And the easiest way to find all things Oh Brother is to go out to our official website, which is OHB as in brother podcast.com. That's ohbpodcast.com. And you get access to all of our social media content there. You can subscribe and follow us on YouTube and like our videos there. We've got a blog that we put out almost weekly there. There's film reviews on the website. So that's really your one-stop shop for all things Oh Brother. I have also set up, you can't really see it here in my shop, but of course, I've got Citizen Kane, the box set here. Same as you've got.
Is that the big one with
same
RKO?
thing. This is what's interesting. We both have the same Citizen Kane box displayed, and we both have the Omerta edition
of the Godfather
trilogy, which you gave me for Christmas a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then I have Star Wars Episode 5 is wedged in there. You can't see it. Groundhog Day and Braveheart, because I don't have Good Will Hunting on physical media.
Oh, so, wow.
I did have it. I did have it, but when I was going full digital, I sort
purged
of
it. Yeah.
Purged it. Yeah.
And I have Roxanne over here. I won't say what's next.
Who directed Roxanne?
Did Steve direct it?
I honestly don't remember. Can you grab that box real quick? I need closure on that.
Yeah, I'll get it online here.
Yeah. Look that up for us. Yeah, look that up for us.
I also have Touch of Evil up there.
Okay, yeah, some more Wells.
Yeah.
So, I went back, as did you, of course, right? And the first question is like, is your list different today as opposed to what it was a year ago when we did the first episode?
Right.
And so, uh, I can say for me, as I look back at my list, honestly, I wouldn't change that list. I still feel strongly about the picks. And, if you remember, and those that have heard the episode, and if you haven't, we'd encourage you to go back and listen to that. The show will sound a bit different.
A lot different.
Yeah. But, I had all this criteria. I was like super researched and ready to go. And I had all of these criteria that I was following, directing, cinematography, and acting performances, and all that sort of stuff. And so if I still use that criteria, going through all of my lists and just kind of thinking about all, so many other films that are out there, I would stick with my list. But one thing that I'm going to do after you comment on yours is I have a stack of films right beside me.
So do I.
That were okay. So we'll go through, and these I'd say could easily be replacements for maybe one of the films on my list. They're somewhat interchangeable. So that'll be interesting to talk about. So what about your original list? Do you keep it as it is, or would you change anything?
No, I think I'd make a couple changes.
Really?
First of all, Roxanne, the director was Fred Schepisi.
Wow.
That's how you say it.
That
and I don't know who he is.
That would not have come to mind.
Schepisi. So I'm not sure if I probably just butchered his last name, but I never even thought of it. That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, like you, I probably would have first go, was it Steve? But that's interesting. Okay. Give him a shout out. Cause that's an amazing movie. It made your top 5. And that was your first pick. That was your 5th.
That was my 5th choice. And
Right.
that's the one I might swap out. Yeah. Actually, there's 2.
Okay.
First thing that surprised me when I look at it, my list was 3 of my films are black and white, which I didn't realize that at the time.
Yeah.
And
well, you're heavily influenced and have been recently by noir,
Right.
So
by film noir. And I have a bunch of black and white movies that I'm going to share for people because black and white has to be done well. Just because speaking of Johnny Durango, we were texting him on the night of the Academy Awards.
Right.
And it was coming to cinematography was coming up next. And he called it right away.
He knew.
And he called it Mank. He said, not because it was the best.
Yeah. Black and white.
Because it's in black and white and people think, and I totally agree with that. You have to be able to do black and white good.
Yeah.
Orson Welles, Billy Wilder,
right.
Fritz Lang, Otto Preminger. These guys know how to do it, and there's meaning behind every shot. The Coen brothers did Man Who Wasn't There.
Right.
There's scenes that are lifted right from Fritz Lang's movies.
Sure.
Whether it's M or Ministry of Fear, which I have. But here's the switches I might make.
Okay.
I might switch out Roxanne.
Okay.
Which sounds crazy because I like it so much, but it was based on an episode we did where we talked about planes, trains, and automobiles.
So you'd put that in.
I think I'd switch.
Yeah.
Because there's more heart. There's heart in both of them. It's really a toss-up.
It's interesting that you would say that because
there it is there.
That's one of my alternate takes would be planes, trains, and automobiles.
And you didn't know.
I didn't know. We didn't talk about
what I was going to say.
Yeah, so there it is right there. One of the few movies that earn the respect for me to maintain it on physical media.
Yeah. Do you have the digital as well?
I haven't got it yet. No, it's very cheap. It's like $8 or something.
Yeah,
but
because this still
has the Best Buy label on it.
Right. I have 2 Blu-rays of it. And this one right here came with a digital.
So
nice. It would have been good
perfect for me, right? Okay, so that's good. So that's interesting.
So that's one.
And look, it's both Steve Martin though, so that's a nice switch. It's Steve for
is
Steve. So
Steve for Steve. And I think I was writing about John Candy in one of the blogs,
right.
and I thought, man, he was so good in that. And the two of
Yeah.
them together, between that movie and we just lost Charles Grodin, we talked about on last episode,
Mm.
Midnight Run and
God, that's a great film.
In Planes, Trains are the two epic buddy pictures.
Hmm.
You know, and they both are at each other.
Yeah. Now
These aren't really.
is Midnight Run one you'd put in here?
That's no,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's come on, it's so
It's
good.
amazing. It's great. It's great.
Now the other flip out
And that was what, Martin Brest? Is it Martin Brest? Is that, am I getting that right?
that
That
directed
directed it?
I thought it was Martin Campbell,
Maybe it's Martin Campbell. Okay.
but
All right.
we
So
both
what,
could be
all
wrong.
right. So there's one. What else would you switch out?
So then I was thinking, and this is tough, but The Killer. And
The
there's
Killing. The
The
Killing.
Killing. I'm sorry.
You did that on the
that's
episode
why.
too. You did that
That's
on the episode.
why. Because
Yeah, it's got to go. It's too confusing.
Yeah, but the flip for it
It's the
would
Killer.
be The Killers,
Yeah. Okay.
which you
just sent me.
I just sent you the original one. I thought
Okay.
I was sending you the box set or the Blu-ray, and I accidentally ordered the wrong one. So I kept the box because I didn't have a box for mine.
Yeah.
And I just sent you the disc. I said, here, watch this, and then you can just throw it away because I
Mhm.
know you don't like discs. So,
Yeah.
but it's specifically the Criterion Collection
Okay.
because it has two versions of The Killers. And this is basically a Hemingway short story that the movie is based on.
Hmm.
So you get a let me see, I wrote it down here, 1946, Burt Lancaster stars in it. And Richard it's Sido, I always called him Sidomac, but it's really Sio Demac, something like that. I just heard it pronounced and I should have had it in my head. And then there's a 1964 version
Okay.
that has Lee Marvin, John Cassavetes is in it, Ronald Reagan is in it,
Yeah.
Angie Dickinson is in it.
Okay.
So on the Criterion, you get the two versions. The
Yeah.
one that I sent you is my favorite version. But that disc, it's one of those Criterion Collection discs, and I have a stack of them here, some of my favorites, that it's just jack full of extras, and every extra is better than the next. Like if you like physical media or you like extras,
Yeah. Right.
you'll watch everything. I mean, I was
Yeah.
watching it while we were waiting to do this.
Hmm.
I was going through it again, and you can rewatch all of the movies.
So
And
it's
a third version too.
yeah. And so there's the Killers for the Killing.
The Killers for the Killing. And
Okay. And Steve for Steve. So you're on a roll.
I
here.
know. And
Yeah.
and if I had,
Is it going to be
I-
Kong for Kane? Were
No.
you swayed by
Those are the
Godzilla
only
versus
two.
Kong?
But I will say that it hurts me not to have our buddy in the list, Stanley Kubrick.
Kubrick, yeah.
Because if I pull The Killing, then I got no Kubrick.
Yeah.
So here's Dr. Strangelove, the 4K edition.
Yeah, that looks nice.
So if it wasn't for The Killers being such an awesome package on Criterion,
Strangelove would be in there.
it would be Strangelove.
And that was another episode we did because I hadn't seen Dr. Strangelove in all
I
these
know.
years. And here
Thank
I am like
goodness.
Mr. Kubrick, right? So that was a real treat. So those are the only two swaps you'd make. The rest of your
That's
list is
it.
intact, right? Okay.
Citizen Kane's never gonna, unless Orson Welles comes back from the grave. I don't think
right. And
that'll
The
ever be
Godfather
topped.
and Double Indemnity, like I said in the episode,
Yeah.
you came out of the womb like in that film. So there's no surprise that
Exactly.
would stay on your list. Well, that's interesting, but reasonable justifications for making those swaps. So
Yeah.
I like that now, but you've got more alternate takes.
I do.
Like
And
how big is this?
actually,
Yeah.
It's I went into, like, just really quick, Criterion Collection. I've
Yeah,
talked about the
Fritz Lang.
Criterion Collection before, and the reason they're good before, when DVD first came out, I got hooked on the commentaries,
Hmm.
and I literally wouldn't buy a disc if it didn't have extras on
Yeah,
it.
I was that way too.
So movies that are in my collection or that are missing because they were just bare bones, just the movie,
Right,
and I can get that all the time. So
right.
I
Do
just
you hear
wanted to
that,
highlight a
Nel? Do you
few.
hear that, Nelms Brothers?
But the Ministry of Fear is Fritz Lang. Another, and again, this was more black and white.
Yeah,
M is Fritz Lang.
yeah.
Another guy that can really do a great job with black and white. Jules Desan.
Oh, yeah,
Rafifi
Rafifi, right.
is a
Mhm.
classic.
Yeah,
That's a heist movie. There's 25 minutes in the movie that
yeah,
is just silent.
right.
Them doing the heist. It's actually breathtaking to watch.
The suspense.
Naked City,
Naked
Jules
City.
Desan again. These are
Mm.
all Criterion, I would say. Run out and get these movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And then this, which is only on DVD right now, it's coming next month to Blu-ray. It's called Pickup on South Street, which
That
is
one
a
I've not heard of.
Samuel Fuller
Okay,
movie. So
nice.
those are all like Criterions I wanted to highlight.
Okay, but you've got more on that
I've
stack?
got other like black and whites. And then
Okay,
I want to give people, like, for people who don't like old movies and say, I don't really like those old movies,
yeah.
I've got some newer ones.
I have a handful of movies I grabbed. Again, these are all ones that I still have in my physical media collection. And, for various reasons, again, I was trying to think of going back to the criteria that I used in the original episode, but these are just some of the outtakes that could have easily made it into my list. Might have commented on some of these during the episode. I can't recall
Mm-hmm.
exactly if I hit all of these, but you know, uh, to not have a Coen Brothers movie on that list is also sort of blasphemy.
That's in mine.
And
Oh yeah.
the Big Lebowski for
Oh,
me
the digibook version.
would have made the cut. So I struggled with this. This is such a great set that you gave me
Yeah.
quite a long time ago, and I'm noticing. Is this in my my digital media? Because I'm noticing
There's
there's
a
a
code.
and I might not have redeemed this code from
Oh
14 years
man.
ago. So that's kind of
Oh,
funny. So
you'll have to try it.
I'll have to
Sometimes they're
check that.
good.
But the dude always abides,
Yeah, that's a good
So you
one.
can't go wrong with that. Another one,
I have that in 4K, by the way.
Big Lebowski. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a must. This is a must have and
Yeah.
a must watch. This is a film. This is probably more for me. A lot. I just again, pretty much from top to bottom, I'm a fan of this film. It's relevant that I would have the Boston attire on today when talking about it, but and it was directed by Ben Affleck, and I just thought he did a fantastic job. This is the extended cut that I have. There is a commentary,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of other extras on this, but it's the town,
Oh yeah.
and it's just a really well done film. Jeremy Renner is in this from
Mm-hmm.
Marvel fame, and
That's a heist film.
that's a heist film. That's right. John
Fenway
Hamm,
Park.
and that's right. That's
Yep.
exactly getting special permission to be in Fenway Park for
Exactly.
some of the filming. But anyways, that's just another great film that could have made my list somewhere
Yeah.
in there.
I have that as a digibook as well. That's
Oh, do
fun.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I
do
love
have.
the digibooks.
I did redeem the digital copy of that one, so that
Good.
one is in my
Yeah.
digital. All right, we'll go one more and then toss it back to you. You know this. This is a film from director Ridley Scott that anytime it's on TV, I stop and I watch the whole thing, no matter where it's at in the
I
film.
bet I know what it is.
And this is a wonderful Blu-ray set that I have. And it's a 4-disc collector's edition, actually. And it's
Oh,
the film Prometheus,
okay. I
which is
thought when you said 4, I thought it was Avatar.
which is an Alien prequel, right?
Yes.
And I mean, look at how thin this box is,
Yeah.
but this is a beautiful 4-disc collection. So Prometheus, it's just wonderfully directed. It's a great sci-fi film. Again, if you're a fan of the Alien um, films, you'd love this. I liked Covenant too, but Prometheus is kind of at
I
the
hope
top of
he
my
gets.
list.
I hope he gets to finish the the trilogy, the prequel trilogy to Aliens.
Yeah.
Well, Aliens was actually a quadrilogy.
Well, and I'll tell you this again because I don't think you've jumped on it yet, but anybody else that hasn't seen it, if you have HBO Max, you have to check out the series Raised by Wolves.
I
It's
haven't seen it yet.
it's really fantastic. So,
And that's
anyways,
Ridley Scott. That's why you're bringing that up.
yeah, it's he's one of the minds behind that, not the soul, but yeah, he's
Mhm.
behind that as well. And you'll see right away the influence. It's very Ridley Scott. How about you?
Right.
What else you got in your stack?
Do you have more?
I do.
Oh, okay. Um, again, I'm staying on black and white movies. So these are ones I poured in easy, and they're all black and white because I want people to see black and white done properly. And so the first one is Sunset Boulevard, which
Yeah.
is a classic Billy Wilder.
Yep. Very. Yep.
Um,
That's classic for
you
sure.
know,
When you mentioned him earlier, that's the first one I tend to think of.
yeah, and a lot of people do. He's done so much.
I think in film, if you take any sort of introductory film class, that is in every textbook that you'll read.
Yeah, especially the storytelling.
Yeah.
It was funny because while I was waiting for you, I looked up top 10 black and white movies of
Yeah.
all time,
Right.
and I had all 10 of them,
Uh,
which I thought was kind of funny.
yeah. Well, there's a
Um,
stack. Why don't you do a black and white stack on
yeah,
Instagram?
oh man, I could hit the ceiling.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a
my
great one.
Criterion collection is probably 50 to 60% black and white.
Yeah.
So
Here's looking
yeah, I
at
could
you,
definitely
kid.
hit the ceiling.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Yeah, Casablanca.
Casablanca.
It's a
Yeah,
classic.
very much. Yeah.
Um,
Now there's
Humphrey
one.
Bogart.
Do you have more black and white?
I do, but go ahead, jump in.
No, I'm just. Do you have? I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
Do you have Brando? You have to. See,
No,
that
I
could
don't.
have
I
been.
don't, and
Oh
I
my
should
god.
have. I
Now
mean,
that.
I have on the waterfront.
Well, of course,
Obviously.
no, but I'm thinking a streetcar.
Oh yeah,
Like that could be on my list,
yeah.
and I should have pulled that
There's a
out.
stack I could do. Is a Brando stack.
Streetcar Named Desire. Gosh, what
Yeah.
a great film that is. Okay. So, anyways,
Another fantastic one.
let's see another one from you.
Here's one more.
Which?
Can you
Oh
read it?
yeah, Who's
No?
Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Who's Afraid of Edward Albee's play?
Yeah,
And
Elizabeth
it's
Taylor.
a play. It's
Right.
classically a play because it's shot in one room.
But that was one of her many relationships, was it not?
Yeah,
Her and
Richard
Burton?
Burton
Yeah.
several times. I think I got a question in one of the trivia
You did.
about the two of them.
That's
didn't I?
correct. You did.
Yeah,
You absolutely
so-
did. Thanks for bringing up that sore spot again.
So go ahead. You go with a couple. and
Well,
I'll go
this
with a
is
couple
tough.
more.
Now, some of this is because I don't have the physical media, but in this, you mentioned this before, and we got into a little beef on one of the episodes about this, but we could certainly do a list that's just broken down by our favorite films in every genre. We talked about that at one
Right.
point. It's so difficult,
Right.
but I went back and I was reflecting on this, and it might win out. You're going to give me hell again for it, but the Oscar-winning Best Picture Unforgiven from Clint Eastwood, for me, when I think about westerns, because I'm such a fan, Kevin Costner's Open Range film for me, and I think you need to go back and watch that again. It's probably been some time since you've seen it, but
It has.
he and Robert Duvall in that film are just incredible, and it's so well directed. I don't know that it inches this out. This is just like, I mean, the cast, the directing, it's Eastwood.
Another digibook.
He is the cowboy of my lifetime. So
And
Unforgiven could have made it in there.
I did a Clint stack. If
You did a
remember.
Clint stack, right?
I think that was one of the first ones I did.
Yeah.
And I have
But
every
no-
single.
Nobody's
Clint
going to
Eastwood.
argue with this choice. So
No. And I would say the final 20 minutes of that film is as good as anything
yeah.
ever done. Forget Western. I'm talking just
I mean, Richard
everything
Harris,
about it.
Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman. It's a spectacular film.
You know,
spectacular
and
film.
and I'll tell you where the point is you know, he gets drunk at the end, and he goes back to the bar where they killed his buddy,
Hmm.
and you see them talking about how they're going to go get him, and he's in the bar
He's already
meanwhile,
there.
and they
That's
don't
right.
know it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden Clint gets a shot from the point of view of the shotgun, and the shotgun comes down, and you're just looking down the
That's
shotgun.
so great.
From that to the end
Yeah.
is, I think, the best.
Will Money is one of the greatest characters ever created.
Fantastic.
One of the
Fantastic.
greatest. All right, what do you got?
Okay.
Let's move this party
This
train along.
one, this
Oh
black
yeah,
and
I
white
like this choice.
is really specific.
I like
and,
this choice.
Orson Welles' Citizen Kane, my favorite, my top movie,
Yeah.
was so smart that he absolutely put it in the contract with RKO that Citizen Kane could never be colorized. Talk about thinking ahead.
No kidding.
Because Turner went and colorized a bunch of black and whites that never, ever should have. And this is one of the ones.
One of which is that, yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
Awesome Jimmy Stewart. Never watched the colored version ever. If you see it on TV, throw a rock at your TV.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's interesting you would pick that. This wouldn't have made it, but it's interesting that you just talked about that film because like this is not a film where I would say, oh, the directing was so spectacular. So there's certain points in my criteria it wouldn't hit, but I'm just holding it up because the fact that you took us into the holiday season. So I had to I had to have a Christmas Story just because it's just so near and dear to me. I met Peter Billingsley at one point, and I have an autographed VHS copy of this film from him. And I'm one of those that watches this around the clock during Christmas Eve when it's on TBS. I'm the one sitting there watching it 1,000 times. So I know every inch of this movie.
I'm looking across at
You got the lamp.
Wall.
The leg. It's a lamp.
No, I'm looking at my Christmas movies, which are on the other side.
Oh, okay.
And I see Fat Man and some
Yes.
other things, but I'm looking at A Christmas Story, and it's sealed. I can
Oh,
tell
that's
from here.
wild. That's wild.
And
that's
reason
unlike you.
Yeah, I know. The reason it's sealed is because I watch it on TBS all the time.
Sure.
I've never watched the extras. I don't know if there are.
There's some. There's extras. There's extras. Yeah, there's actually a commentary.
So I'm gonna make it a point this year, this Christmas.
Yeah, there's a commentary.
To watch that commentary.
This version had a 20th anniversary documentary, some featurettes. I mean, it's loaded.
Okay.
And it's very sad. Bob Clark tragically killed in a car accident. Like really sad story there, but it's a beautiful film. I love it. I know every single line of that film. Now, this isn't pandering, but since you just mentioned it, if we come back and do this again next year, I'm not so sure Fat Man isn't going to be on my list. The Nelms Brothers Fat Man, which of course Johnny Durango was the DP and cinematographer in that film. That's a solid film. So when you talk about a holiday film that you're going to watch every single year, that's going to be on rotation heavily every year for me.
And, since you brought his name up and I brought it up earlier, Johnny Durango, what's his Instagram handle?
Well, it's at Johnny Durango, I believe. Oops.
Because the reason I say that is if you go there, he has a great presentation of how he uses light.
Yes. Well, he's been doing some great, like giving us some really cool behind the scenes looks at filmmaking.
Yeah.
Through cinematography and direct, and he's it's, if you want to follow him, it's at Johnny_Durango, which is DERANGO.
Good.
So definitely go follow Johnny.
And you'll actually learn something when you go to his site.
He's been a really great friend of the show, and he's a really, really big fan of the movie Rogue One.
I heard that. I that was a rumor going around that he was petitioning Disney to do a prequel because he wanted to bring back Jane Erso.
Right.
And he wanted to do a prequel to Rogue One.
Yeah, he
wants to work with every member of that cast.
Well, it's very known. He's been wanting to work with Felicity Jones for some time now.
Exactly.
So Uh, we hope he gets that
I
opportunity
hope
soon.
so.
All right, what do you got? What do you got?
That's
I
deep
think
for
Johnny's
us.
going to be slipping into the DMs pretty
I don't
soon
know if he's going to be introducing us
after
much
he hears
longer.
this, right?
You brought it up. I had to have a Coen Brothers black
There
and
it
white.
is, man.
It's fantastic. The Man Who Wasn't There.
Wonderful. Yep.
Uh, this is black and white
Billy
in
Bob Thornton.
modern era done right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton, who everybody knows from Sling Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's like he looks like a different person in Sling Blade.
He really does. He really does.
I mean, he really thinned out, and I don't know. I'm trying to think of him pre Sling Blade. Was he
Right.
thin or was he? I just don't know.
No, I don't know. I think that was really my introduction to him, and probably was for a lot of people. To be honest, that's so long ago now that that's
Yeah.
pretty early in his career trajectory. I would say, at
And
least
he
from
was
when
a
he was
buddy.
known.
He was a buddy who was in Sling Blade with They were good buddies, and he died.
In real life,
Sadly. Yeah. Um,
geez, I can't. I'm thinking of
oh
Dwight
my
Yoakam's
God.
character. I can't think of it.
John, was it John? Oh God.
Geez, that escape.
I'll have to look
I
it
can't.
up.
I can't place it.
I'll look it up.
Now, here's
seven things about my teenage daughter.
no
Doesn't ring a bell. Okay.
pops and buzzers.
I got to pull it up now that I said that, because
Now-
people are right now going, "You idiot."
Now, all right, let's just keep it moving along here, just so we can get through our stack. Do you know what film I might be ready to hold up by the director James Foley?
Jeez, I don't. Oh, how can I not? Oh, man. Well, if you had said David Mamet,
Right, I was
I
going to
would
say
have
by the
jumped on it
play,
right away.
right, based on the play. Glenn Ross is, again, easily could have been on either of our top 5 lists.
Yeah.
Again,
I love David Mamet
another
films
film
made to movies.
Another film heavy on the language. Just a forewarning there. Pretty intense language.
Which
in this
one?
Glenn Ross.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
Yeah.
going on.
But I'm just going to read the casting. Al Pacino. So you can, case closed right there. Jack
Right.
Lemmon, rest in peace. The great Jack Lemmon.
Awesome.
Alec
Great.
Baldwin, who was phenomenal in this, and he's in it for like 5-10 minutes.
And I think I've told you this. I don't know if everybody knows this, but in the play
Yep.
that this is based on, that intro with Alec Baldwin is not in the play.
Right. Yes.
That was added specifically for the movie.
Thank God.
And Alec Baldwin did it well.
Ed Harris.
Fantastic.
Alan Arkin. And Kevin
Another
Spacey.
legend.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
What do you, Kevin Spacey? Go ahead. What else you got?
I know. Moving on.
Yeah. What else you got?
For modern day, black and white, Schindler's List.
Yeah, that was also in one of our trivia episodes, maybe the last one.
Yeah, and watching it in 4K.
I love. Now, what a brilliant cover that is. Describe that cover. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant for the black and white.
If you've seen the movie, there's one touch of color in it, and it's to highlight the young girl.
Yeah, with the
that
red.
we see in the crowd that are getting,
brilliant
marched in.
I got to tell you that West Side Story, that looks like it's going to be phenomenal. It really does.
A great box of that, the original, which I saw on Broadway.
Yeah,
with Rita Moreno,
the great Rita Moreno.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't think you'll have any issue with this outtake that I have here, but I looked back and I thought, how could I have not had this, or at least something from this trilogy? And we did an episode featuring one of the main actors and characters in this film. It is Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight.
Awesome.
This is just a work of art right here. So, and just again, paying homage to the great Heath Ledger, who we lost way too soon. Again, Mike's got a blog out about about
Picked 5 actors.
those actors that we've lost way too soon that just
Yeah.
have a great body of work despite that. But geez, what they could have given us,
And he was going to be in the third film, and
Right.
can't imagine where he would have taken it. And,
Yeah.
just sad.
I
But a great movie. Man, what
wonderful
a
movie.
great movie.
Really great movie. I had Gus Van Zant's Good Will Hunting on my original list. You had guessed Drugstore Cowboy, which could have been on there.
Yeah.
It could have easily been on there. But a director that I don't know, sometimes I think in the past I may have confused him with Gus Van Sant, which is Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah.
This film, again, could have been on there. It's got a commentary if you're into physical media, and it's got other extras on here as well. But the great Sex, Lies, and
man.
Videotape, right?
It's a Criterion Collection version I have.
So it's a must-have. You got James Spader, Andy McDowell, Peter Gallagher, and Laura San Giacomo. It's just you. This is again one of the ones you turned me on to way back in the early '90s that I just got hooked on.
Andy McDowell, who's gorgeous, and she's in the Christmas one you had.
Now I can't. Now, yeah, which I maybe would have done Andy for Andy.
Yeah, right.
Wipe out the groundhog, and
Right.
got a Steve for Steve. All right, let me wrap Buying up, and then we'll see what you
Yeah,
you
I've
conclude
one last
with.
one, and I dropped it. So.
Oh, okay. So I struggled with this. It was hard for me because I just feel like I need this guy to be represented in my list.
Yeah.
For me, and it'd be no surprise to you. And so when I looked at the body of work, I thought, how do you not? How would this not be the pick? But directed by John Avildsen, and if you can guess, it is the original in a long series of films on this character, but the great Sylvester Stallone in Rocky.
Fantastic.
And this is a wonderful book.
Another digibook
that you got me. Yeah. And I just love this. And I have other iterations of this in my collection as well. But another one I thought could have easily slid in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So there's my outtake
stack. You're a big Stallone fan, so
I am very big Stallone
fan.
And
the one I just
Whoa.
I was
all right. There you go, folks.
Oh, and
Editing.
Good night, everybody. As you were kind of I was trying to dig for it, and I said screw it, I'm not gonna but the last film on my list, which
let's hear it,
another director that should have been in one of our top 5, I can't believe it wasn't. And again, this one he's a guy who does black and white as good as anybody, and I picked out maybe not the best movie of his, but a good representation, and it's out on 4K.
Yeah.
And it is Psycho.
Oh,
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, you missed, there was a trivia question you missed that was a Hitchcock about the birds.
About it was about like a town.
It was a made up town in California.
Yeah. And I
still
wouldn't have never gotten it.
No, but yeah. Okay. Well,
I've
do you have it there?
It.
Or you lost
it? I dropped it.
Can you grab it?
Yeah.
Let's get a look at that for those watching on YouTube. We've presented a lot of physical media tonight.
And this is the case for the 50th anniversary. But
okay.
And this is what I do a lot of times is see, this is the 4K.
Oh yeah, right.
But it's not the 4K case.
Yeah.
So like when I have 2 versions of the same movie, I get a double case. I throw out the DVD and I put it in there. So
that's a solid choice. Like you said, maybe not the best, but he's got to be represented in there for sure.
He's got to be represented. I mean,
that's interesting. I mean, you had a couple of swaps, and we both had a list of outtakes that are solid. But I still look at mine, and I like the list I've got. I still stick with that based on the criteria that I established for that original episode. So, but that's a pretty good look back, and it
really mine changed based on discussions we've had.
Right.
Through like we were going to do a film swap before we went on hiatus, and I was going to give you The Killers, which you have in your hand, but I'd really like you to see the full presentation on the Criterion that has multiple versions, and it's just I think it's the best Criterion disc out.
I had contemplated, going back with Kubrick, and I kept going back and looking at Full Metal Jacket, and I was just sort of debating, but he really should be represented on my list. It's a little bit of a shame.
And
that
again,
he's
by
not,
me,
but
if I pull a Killing, then I lose.
right.
And it's
That's right.
tough.
Yeah.
There's another. Did I do his? Did I do a stack of
Kubrick stack? I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
I did.
Offhand. Did you?
I did
Okay.
complete Kubrick, which I
Yeah.
had every one of his films,
Yeah.
including like short films that he did, as a student or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I could put like Clockwork Orange in there now. And, I've
Yes.
seen so many of those, and Eyes Wide Shut that's probably going to be the third iteration of the Why You Should Love series that we're doing.
Yeah.
I think at some point we need to do a Why You Should Love
the
Eyes
rated
Wide
R
Shut.
version.
The rated R version. Yeah. Well, that's a pretty good Oh Brother retrospective, and look back at that first episode and kind of seeing if it holds up. And, aside from a few swaps, it stands firm, I'd say. So,
Yeah.
but it was interesting to see the ones you would have swapped out, and the reasons why. That it makes sense to me. But either way, you get yourself a great list of films there. So, well, it's been like I said, it's kind of flown by, but we're at a year. And entering.
I was just about to do what you did.
Yeah, you were about to.
I was going to pick
all
my
those
movies
discs
up, and they were just going to go.
Yeah.
And I luckily caught them just before the spill.
You want to hold those up? Can you steady your hands?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good group of outtakes. A lot of black and whites. Mike is pushing.
Well, these are all black and white.
He's hawking this black and white thing. So,
Yeah,
which maybe the Bruins, your black and white thing is on your mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know,
but at night, I tend to watch a movie every night. After the news or whatever, after the game.
Right.
Like tonight the Celtics are on, and I'll put a movie in, usually something modern, and then I've always got to follow it. I'll start out a new black and white film.
Something, yeah.
And I just, you hit an actor, and you just go from like different ones.
Get that Brando stack out there, would you?
I know Brando.
Brando stack.
How's he not in our? How is One-Eyed Jacks?
Yeah. Well, again, Streetcar you got to have in there.
Streetcar.
Just amazing.
Fantastic. Yep.
So again, for those that aren't following us, if to find all things Oh Brother, go out to our official website, which is OHB as in brother podcast.com, ohbpodcast.com, and you'll find access to all of our social media content, our YouTube channel, so you can subscribe and watch the videos out there, follow our blog, and check out the film reviews that we have, which are kind of these like little quick, brief film reviews that we post out on the website. And we've got more content we'll be pushing out there too down the road. Also, again, a big thanks to all of our listeners, those who have supported us from day one and continue to support us, our new listeners just joining us, and all of the special guests that we've had on the show over the past year. Wouldn't have been the same experience without it. Would have just been you and I, on a mic, pathetically talking to each other.
And each time we would be shocked. What? She's going to do it? He's going to do it?
Yeah,
what?
It's been great. Yeah, looking forward to it.
And
you're about to line up the next one, so we're going to keep that under wraps, but we'll have another exciting interview coming up, hopefully in the next maybe month or something. Depends on scheduling. Gonna work that out. So
yeah,
but I'm excited. I like bringing those in every now and then just to mix things up, and
we always learn something
fresh. Yeah, for sure.
Fun.
Yeah, and make new friends of the show, which is exciting. So
and everybody that we've had on, they're like very current in right now.
Absolutely.
In today's film industry, they're all people that we respect and are looking forward to their work.
Well, like Cousin Eddie said, nothing but the best for the Oh Brother podcast. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of the Oh Brother podcast. I've been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith, and we will see you next time.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.